Hi, I'm Paul Johnson. You might know that I work alongside Lynn Sumida at Miruspoint Facilitators. What you might not know is the backstory, how it is that I came to be there. I came to the work initially as a client in 2009. At that point, I'd been suffering with clinical depression and was seriously suicidal. I reached out to half a dozen of my closest friends and explained the situation in a very short, very clear email saying that I had come to the end. I needed some help. I was very specific in that email and said that I didn't want the name of a counselor, a traditional kind of a counselor, simply because I didn't have the energy to go through months or even years of counseling, and besides, I'd already tried that route. If I go back a number of years and explain what brought me to that place, it would probably go back to the late 1970s. As a young guy in my late teens, I became involved in a pretty fundamental Christian church. And that congregation enveloped me, they welcomed me, and it was a wonderful place to be. The thing was, for me though, is I had always known that I was gay. And to be gay in that particular context was like trying to mix oil and water together. It just wasn't going to fly. I wasn't going to be accepted on those terms. And I recognized that and began to suppress that, began to push it down. Over the course of the next number of years, I tried everything that I knew not to be gay. I went for prayer, and I went for counseling, and I went for reparative therapy. I even went for exorcism, which today seems pretty strange, pretty far out kind of a thing to do. I came to a point in 1983 where I thought that, gee, if I just get married, maybe that'll fix it. Maybe that'll fix me. And so I found a wonderful woman. We were married, and we have two beautiful children, but that didn't change who I was. It didn't change my identity. It didn't change the fact that I'm a gay man. I was looking for the next thing. If marriage didn't do it, then what was it going to be? I went into ministry, went to seminary, became a minister. I thought that if I just poured myself more into what I was doing, that God would somehow see fit to relieve me of the burden of being gay. And of course, that didn't work. In spite of all the years in ministry in one congregation or another, nothing ever changed. In 1999, I remember I was talking with a friend of mine, a fellow minister, and I remember sitting in his office and having a conversation about this struggle that I had, and I remember silently, quietly praying to myself. And this is what I prayed. I said, God, I've done everything. I've tried everything that I know, and it seems to me that nothing has worked. This leads me to one conclusion, and that is the fact that you just don't care that I'm gay. And that was the day that I stopped fighting. It was only a couple of months later that I came out. And although that was a difficult decision, what was to follow was even more difficult. I lost everything. I lost my vocation, I lost my congregation, I lost my spiritual family. I even lost my family, my nuclear family. It seemed like everybody had turned their backs on me because I came out as being a gay man. For the next number of years, I struggled with clinical depression. And although I didn't know it at the time, it was probably 5 years after coming out that my family physician recognized what was going on with me and began to give me prescriptions for antidepressant medication. And it was a very deep, dark time for me. Well, by the time 2009 came along, I had been dealing with depression for a number of years. I was suicidal. I reached out to my friends, and they came back to me and said that I needed to see Lynn Sumida. We began working together our first session in July of that year, and from the very first session, the burden, the heaviness of depression lifted, and since that day, I've never experienced anything like that again. There have been, off days, blue days, we all get those, but nothing even coming close to what I had been experiencing prior to that. The prime potential process changed my life. It really brought me back from the grips of death, I tell people, because in so many ways it saved my life. So what is my message to you as a counselor or a therapist? You've done all kinds of training, you have a great skill set. My encouragement to you would be to consider the work of Prime Potential Facilitator Training as being an addition to the skill set that you already have. It would be an opportunity for you to add some more tools to your toolkit that are quick, that are effective, and that really bring about substantial change in a very, very short period of time. We would love to have you in facilitator training this year, and it's easily done. Give us a call, get in contact with us. We would love to have a conversation with you about how Prime Potential can impact your practice and impact your skill set dealing with your clients.